What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Crew 2, and in this video I'm going to take a look at the Porsche 911 Carrera RSR Turbo. So this is actually going to be the last car with the handling update, at least at the moment, until some of the other vehicles do get updated, which I have a feeling the RSR1 is definitely not going to be part of that, but nonetheless though, the RSR Turbo on here is definitely going to be a pretty awesome looking car. I would say most players would end up driving this vehicle mainly because of the detail. Like, for example, guys, look at the engine on the back of this thing. Like, that looks crazy. You can even see the turbo as well. Like, they did a great job with the design of this car. There's a few things I have noticed about it when racing it, though, and I do want to go over that. But nonetheless, though, I'm really impressed with the vehicles in this handling update so far. One thing I'm a little bit confused on is the way Ubisoft is picking the vehicles, though. I feel like it might be kind of random. But at the same time, I also feel like they're doing this on purpose to really test out the waters almost to see how the players might react to certain settings, which to be honest, I really feel like they're doing a great job so far if they are testing this out because I would love to see settings like the one on the RSR, the BMW, and even like the 599 X as well. To see that on other vehicles in the touring class would honestly be absolutely insane. I feel like there'd be so many different vehicles to use. But similar to the other cars with the handling update, I also wanted to take this thing on a top speed test as well to really see what it can do. I also do remembering testing this car out back in the day when it actually did release, but the top speed of the RSR is definitely not going to be the fastest, but it's also not going to be very behind the fastest cars in this class as well, I did notice. So the top speed of the RSR, guys, is going to be around 255 to like 259 miles an hour. It kind of depends on where you are on the road. I also noticed the RSR seems to be one of the faster cars out of all the cars I have tested out in this handling update so far. For example, the Ferrari 599 does like 251 miles an hour or so. The BMW Z4 does like, I think it's like 254 miles an hour, so they're going to be pretty close. This car is going to be like 2 or 3 miles per hour faster, which is honestly not that much, and depending on what event you might be doing, I don't think 2 miles an hour is really going to make that much of a difference. And again, guys, I really do feel like most of the tracks is going to come down to like overall acceleration and how the car holds its speed. And not only that, but also the handling the car might have, which I would say the RSR is definitely going to be better than what it was, especially because I really didn't use this car all that much back in the day because I really wasn't a huge fan of it. I also do feel like this thing was definitely updated in a positive way with how it handles, but I really do think this car is going to have some flaws to it. So first things first, guys, is going to be the way this car accelerates. I notice off the line it's not going to be the fastest thing, and also this thing is going to be a 5-speed, so if you are running manual, it might take a little bit of getting used to how this thing might shift. I didn't find it to be too bad, at least compared to some of the other 5-speed transmissions in the game here, but overall I would say the RSR isn't going to be an awful car in the touring class, but it's definitely not going to be the fastest thing either, and I was noticing that the more I actually tested it out. On one of the Forsberg racing events I was on earlier, I was actually going against my own Ghost with the CCGT, which funnily enough I was managing to actually beat that when I was testing it out, but I was noticing even off the line the CCGT had me every single time, which honestly isn't that big of a deal because the Porsche seems like it has good speed like coming out of corners and stuff like that, so I don't think like the initial speed is really going to hurt it all that much. But the biggest thing about this, guys, is being able to keep that speed up in corners and coming out of them. You will most likely get smoked by like an RS01 or even the Lamborghini as well. I really do feel like they're going to be faster than the RSR, but what's also really funny though is I was scoring pretty decently on these races with the RSR, so I really don't think like that 5-speed transmission is going to hurt this car in like a negative way. I just feel like it's going to be a little bit different how you accelerate, which from the testing I have done with the RSR so far, I would even say this car reminds me more of like the Impala, which is kind of funny because they are kind of different in many ways. Like the Impala is going to be a 6-speed, it also redlines at like 5,000 RPM, and you would actually think like initially that car is going to be way worse than this one. If I'm being honest though, guys, I might end up picking the Impala over the RSR in some ways though. Like I kind of like how that car accelerates just a little bit more. I will do more testing with the RSR in the future, especially in summits and stuff like that when it's no restriction, or like maybe it's like a Porsche or something like that. I will definitely try out this car to see what it can do. I'm interested to see what the Porsche can actually do against something like the Impala or even the Ferrari 599 as well. I feel like this car is going to be really good, but The RSR is still going to be a really solid competitor in summits and or like if you guys wanted to grind out parts or like maybe go after followers and or bucks and like races and stuff. I feel like the car's still going to be really good, but when it comes to like top-notch vehicles, I would definitely pick something like even the BMW Z4 over the RSR. I might even go as far as saying I would probably pick the Impala over this, but I will end up doing more testing with the RSR in the future because this thing is pretty awesome and I cannot wait to see what they're going to do with more cars in the future because so far guys, the updated vehicles we have in the touring class are pretty insane and definitely seem to be a lot better than they used to be. Like for example, the RB14 in the Alpha GP class has honestly blown my mind with how good that thing is. Like I like just driving it around now. It feels so much better and gives you way more confidence as well when going around corners. It's not as twitchy, which I feel like a lot of cars do suffer from that, but it looks like this handling update is removing the twitchiness from the vehicles, which I honestly think is huge and will make a lot more players pick some of these vehicles in the future, so I really can't wait for that. And who knows what cars they're going to do in episode 2 as well, so definitely going to be pretty insane in the future. But I do want to know what you guys think. What is your favorite car so far that has been part of this handling update? For me, I'd have to say the RB14 and most likely the BMW Z4, which is kind of funny because looking at the leaderboards recently and stuff in some of the events, I've been seeing the BMW Z4 pop up quite a bit, even overtaking something like the Lamborghini and or even the RS01. So I feel like this is going to be a very good positive change when it comes to the meta. I really do feel like a lot more cars are going to be used now, so this is definitely very positive. I cannot wait to see what cars Ubisoft is going to pick next. If I had a feeling, it's probably going to be like 5 random cars once again, so it might be cars you would probably not expect. But then again, even then, some of the cars might surprise you with how good they might be. I think the most shocking car for me that was part of this handling update is probably going to be the Impala because that was one of the last cars I would think would be as good as it is. And I'd probably put the RSR right behind it because obviously Porsches are going to be insanely good in general. We did see the RSR on the previous Need for Speeds basically decimating everything, which is kind of hilarious. I'm honestly mind blown by the performance of Porsche in real life and the way these cars are actually designed. Like they are pretty incredible, especially on a track and or on the road as well. But again guys, let me know your thoughts about the RSR in the comments below. Even though this car might seem kind of slow when it starts off the line, or maybe the acceleration might be a little bit weird because it's a 5-speed, I really don't think that's going to hurt this car when it comes to competing because I still feel like it's pretty dang solid. But that will basically do it guys. Let me know your thoughts on the RSR in the comments below, and I really do feel like this car is going to be really good. Now I'm not going to lie though, if I had to pick one vehicle out of this handling update, like which one's going to be the best in the touring class, I would have to pick the BMW Z4. Like I feel like that car is going to be an absolute monster, and I actually like the way that car handled more than the CCGT, which probably does sound kind of insane, but again guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and here are the settings I'm currently running on this RSR.